Welcome back to No More Crazy Days. I'm your host, Beth Genly, and today I'm welcoming Nancy Martin for her interview. Nancy Martin is the best-selling author of Dance Your Way to an Empowered Self. She's also an abuse prevention expert, confidence coach, and professional dancer with over 20 years of performance experience. In her work, she uses a specialized combination of movement and intensive coaching to show her clients how to use their bodies powerfully and make the changes needed to repel aggressors and build core confidence, something we can all use, right?
Right.
As a result, they experience a quick, dramatic change in self-assurance that affects their entire being. Not only do they learn to be true to themselves in all situations, they realize they are enough and their choices become fully their own. What makes Nancy's approach different from other abuse programs is her focus on oneself through lightness and joy, rather than trying to change the other through resentment and anger, because she believes true power comes from within. And so do I. So welcome, Nancy Martin. We're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So we're going to talk about the word no today. And for a lot of us, including me, that word is a big challenge. So I'm going to start by just saying, how do you know when it's appropriate or all right to say no?
Right. And I believe that so many of us have grown up with the mentality of no is negative, yes is positive. Like that's how we learned even in vocabulary class about the words, right?
Yes.
No equals negative, yes equals positive. But the reality is they are completely equal. No and yes are exactly equal. It's just a matter of how accurate you are using them, right? And so I like to remind people that for every yes that you're giving someone, you're saying no to something else, if you realize it or not. So that's the problem that so many of us encounter, is that we just say yes automatically. We have this verbal habit. Some of us have literally a verbal habit of just yes. When we hear that question mark, that uptone at the end of someone's sentence, we just say yes, 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 right? And we don't even think of what the repercussions are. What are we saying no to in order to fulfill that yes for you? And so that to me is the most powerful exercise to really dig into. And there's so many steps to it, but just for our purposes here today, that introduction of the idea of name the yes, name the no, and then make an educated decision from there. Really choose your yes or no versus just letting it fall out of your mouth.
That sounds like a lot of thinking to have happen in a conversation.
Well, and it is in the beginning, just like any other practice in life, right? In the beginning, it starts really big, but then with practice, it gets easier and smaller, easier and smaller, easier and smaller. So one tip for doing that is simply get in the habit of saying, I really have to check what's going on. Let me get back to you. And then that gives you a reason to go back, do all of your thinking and your weighing out before you come back with an accurate answer for them.
That's beautiful. Okay, that's a really good tip. Let me just check and see what's going on, and I'll get back to you. That's worth repeating. Beautiful.
Yep. Yes, thank you.
So your title of this interview is No is a Gift. How is that possible? How is being negative a gift, to use your phrase?
Right. So for those of us that have been that way for a long time, where we think that the yes is the gift, we think that saying yes to people and giving them that equals being kind. Yes is kind. Yes, and doing things for people is generous, and all of those things that we're raised to be, right?
Say yes to life.
Yes, yes, yes. Say yes to everything. But again, if you're saying yes to this particular part of life, you're automatically saying no to something else, but you're not making an educated decision about what you're saying no to. And that happens, right? And so the gift comes, I'm sure that those of us that are there, that are yes people, also, many of us have have these conversations where we say things like, oh, people walk all over me. Or, man, like, I feel like I'm always giving, but never getting back. Or, these people take advantage of me all the time. I say yes to them because I want to help them, but they take advantage of me. So if these things sound familiar, that either you're telling your friends this or they're thoughts that you have in your head, that is a sign that you're giving your yeses out a little too freely for your own health and well-being. And so then what ends up happening is if you give a yes that's not good for you, that's not healthy for you, that you really should be doing something else, either with your family or for yourself, and you're giving more than you're receiving. I'm sure we've all been in those situations too, where we kind of feel resentful when we're giving the yes. Is that something that I see you're shaking your head? That's something that you could probably resonate with, right?
Yes, absolutely. And there's another one too, is yes, I'd be good at that.
Yes. Yes. Right? Well, we find all kinds of reasons to say yes. And because we're afraid to say no. Mm-hmm. So we'll find reasons to do that, right? But in those moments of resentment, when we're fulfilling the yes, but we're doing so resentful, that's all about us. So we're going into this situation where we're resentful of them, and then we start to go a little snippy, and we're not happy about it when we're doing it. And then what happens is that's not a gift to them, is it? They would much rather be able to ask someone else to do it for them that has the bandwidth to do it and will do it with joy and lightness, than to have you do it with your resentment and anger and the underbelly of boiling that's underneath there, ruining the day or the experience or whatever it is by your resentment. So really the authentic no or the authentic yes, whichever one you choose, is the gift, the one that you're giving graciously and with excitement and with joy and with abundance of gift for them. So if you truly want to do this thing for them, what a beautiful gift that is when you show up with joy and lightness in your heart. But if you're unable to do that based on where you are at the time or what you have going on that day, then the gift is to release them to find someone that does have the joy and graciousness in their heart to do that same thing for them.
And I would even take it one step farther. Maybe the gift is that it doesn't get done that day.
Right.
Because we don't find somebody else with joy and graciousness. I think a lot of us feel, well, nobody else can do it but me.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, when someone asks us the question to do something, we all of a sudden take it as our own and take responsibility for it. Right? Well, she's asking me because nobody else will do it for her, so I just have to do it. Well, why are you taking on their responsibility, right? It genuinely is something of theirs. And it's really not, to take it off of them and run with it with resentment is not a gift, right? But actually telling them and showing them who you are authentically and what your needs are authentically by saying no when it's a no and only saying yes when it's a real gracious yes, you're showing them who you really are. And that is a wonderful gift, to be authentic with your friends so that they know who you really are and not have to wonder, why is she mad at me? I didn't do anything.
Those are beautiful examples. I want to push back on it just one more step, if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
It was bringing up all kinds of resistance, I guess, in my mind.
Absolutely.
So what if they push back? It's like, if I switch to weighing no and yes equally, that's going to startle some people.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Because you're changing the dynamic of your history.
Yeah.
Of your relationship based on history. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So one of the traps that I get into, and I'm not as bad at this as I used to be, but it's an ongoing practice.
Yes.
I'll say no to something, and when the next thing comes along, I've already said no to something, I've kind of used it up. So you have any tips for that?
You're keeping
one?
Score in your head, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so again, you have to remember that you're two separate people, right? And so this is, I'm going to try and touch on both of those points. The point of you have an established relationship with this person. And now, Nancy, you're talking about changing my relationship. Like, for some of us at our core, some of us, the relationship is based on, what we do for each other and everything else. And then this other idea of, your scorekeeping, right? And in both cases, I will say, just remembering that you are a different body, you're a different person, you have a different history than they have, you're just separate people, already means that you're going to have different opinions about different things. So even if you are keeping score, they may be keeping score too, but that doesn't mean you're looking at the same scoreboard anyway. Right?
I just have this vision of people just not even connecting with their eyes, right?
Well, right, because that's what we're doing. We're so in our heads, adding up the scoreboard that we're not connecting to that other person. We're absolutely not. And that's the first part of this too is it's about meeting them as a human soul and connection with them, right? And so one tip that you can do when you're deciding to do this and to take this on is take your closest friends and tell them about it. Tell them about it before you start. Say, hey, here's the deal. I'm finding that I'm just really depleted. I'm really depleted. I find that I'm telling myself I'm giving more than I'm receiving. And what's happening is I'm giving my oxygen mask to everyone else in my life except for myself, and I can't breathe anymore. So I'm just letting you know, I heard this crazy chick, Nancy, on this summit, and she told me to try this thing. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to ask for your support. So I'm going to ask you that you're going to notice me saying no to you or renegotiating things with you coming up here. And I'm going to ask for your support in this, in knowing that what I'm really trying to do is make myself more healthy. I'm not trying to push you out of my life. I'm not trying to change things, and I'm not trying to be selfish. But what I am trying to do is make sure that when I do say yes to you, I'm able to do it with gusto and excitement. And so that I'm not so down in the dumps with these things. And so I'm replenishing myself. Can you give me that support? Can you help me with this? And when you bring them on, first of all, if they're a true friend and care for you truly, how can they say, no, I'm not going to help nourish you? That'll tell you something right there also, right? This can go deeper when you're talking about dynamics of a relationship. It may change because you may learn some things about them that maybe you didn't notice before you asked to be nourished. Or they may say, which is way more likely, oh my God, I feel the same way. Yes, let's do this together. Let's be accountability partners. Let's let's have our own scoreboards and check in with each other. Like, how many times did you say no today? And really support each other in this. And then that way, how could they say no to you that I'm going to get, resentful with you when you do need to nourish yourself?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's just really fun. And I love the way you put it in such a conversational format. That's just a blast. It sounds real. It sounds like something we can all do.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take this one final step deeper, which is that a lot of us were brought up believing that the most important thing is to do for others, to care for others. I remember my mom even used to say to me, the cowboys don't eat until the animals are fed, so you don't eat until, whatever.
That's
until
right.
You do for others, just taking care of the dog. But the overall lesson was, it's more important to do for others than for yourself.
Absolutely.
So how do we turn this around?
Yes.
It's about serving rather than being selfish, even as we're nourishing ourselves.
Absolutely. So this answer is a little bit twofold too. It's a little bit of what I discussed before about when we go on an airplane, right? And those of you that have traveled with children know, when you go on an airplane, they go through all the safety measures, right? They go through who's sitting in exit rows and buckling and lights and blah, 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 all everything, right? including if something should happen and the oxygen mask comes down and you're with a child or you're with someone that needs more assistance than you. What do they always tell you to do?
Put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yes, and there are many reasons for that. But I also want you to take one note that this one particular safety feature on an airplane is so important. Out of the dozen that they go through, it is the only one that they go through the cabin and check. Everyone that's sitting with a child or someone that's disabled, they literally come up to you one by one and say, now remember, you do your gas mask first before you do theirs. They give a second individual eye-to-eye check with you because it's that important to make sure that you're able to survive and thrive so that you can help them. And the other thing around that is, imagine having this toddler next to you, craziness is happening around you, whole new experience, stuff is falling from the sky. You've been told over and over again, don't put plastic anywhere near your face. And now all of a sudden, your mother that's not doing it herself is shoving this plastic bag on your face. So one thing that she's told you, oh my God, you're going to die if you do this, when in all other cases, all that's going to do is the kid's going to freak out. They're not going to know what to do. It's going to make it harder to help them and everything else. But if you take care of yourself first, not only are you enabling yourself to live just a bit longer so you can help them physically, but you're also modeling behavior for them. You're showing them, look, it's okay. This is just a different way. This is a way I'm taking care of myself right now. Notice how I'm doing it, and now you follow me. And so it's a same thing in life. So yes, we've been told to do for others, and love equals catering to others and doing for others and make sure everybody's taken care of before us. But there is a bit of flaw in that, because if there's nothing left for us, we have nothing left to give to them, and we are not modeling for them how to take care of us. So if we want that in return, if we want that care to go both ways, we need to model for them what that looks like. And we need to show them that deep care and that deep connection. And I always say there's no such thing as too many words, right? So if you're explaining things, really explain it to them. If you need to in the beginning, when you're first giving your nose, really tell them why. Like really, really tell them why. Say, you know, I can say yes to you right now. I can. And I can show up and I could physically be there, but you're not going to want that Nancy there. You're going to want the one that could really help you maybe a week later. Like, well, let's renegotiate. But it's all about modeling what your needs are, taking care of yourself first, and really so that those times you are able to do things for people and be with them, you're with them 100%. And so they're able to really experience the best of you instead of this bottom line grumpy part of you. Let them experience the refreshed, the best of you whenever you do choose to be with them.
Wow, this has been the most energizing conversation I've had in some time. This is tremendously empowering and really fun. Thank you, Nancy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm delighted. And you also have a free gift on top of the gift of this conversation. What do you have for us?
I do. So I do run a all different types of work, like you said, on abuse prevention as well as confidence work, working that core confidence, because that also, when we're talking about this that's just a symptom of building your core confidence. When you're confident and you're able to tap into your intuition and feel those feelings in your body, you will more easily and quickly be able to say those no's the way you need to. And so I believe that building that real core confidence and intuition is key for this. But I have so many different offerings because we're all in so many different places and we want to get to different places. So for those of you that are tuning into this summit, I invite you to take advantage of this offer. I'm offering you a 30-minute one-on-one conversation, a Zoom conversation like this one, where we could see each other, get to know each other a little bit, so that I can help you personalize your path forward to empowerment and confidence and getting whatever your goal is. But this way I'll be able to personalize it for you dependent on where you are and where you want to go.
That is a beautiful gift. I appreciate that so much. And I'm sure there are people on this summit that will want to take advantage of it. So we'll put the link in the email about this and also on the website for the summit so people can find that easily. So go ahead and click on it. If you're connecting with Nancy the way I am, you're going to want to talk to her.
Thank you.
This is Beth Genly, your host, saying thank you again to Nancy Martin, and we'll see you another day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.